It's really hard to make videos like these because there are a lot of missing pieces, but at the same time, you could probably argue that's why it's so good. And yeah, they're sprinkling different things of God Valley's backstory here and there, but the community, we want more. And I mean, yeah, God Valley was never going to be a flashback that we got all at once because there are so many different powerful and influential individuals that were involved in this incident. I mean, we got a little bit in, I believe, chapter 957, some in Kaido's flashback, and now some more information in chapter 9000 or 1095. But today I wanted to talk about God Valley and give my thoughts about it because I believe it's going to be a really fire flashback. But if you guys enjoy regular anime content, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. With that away, my name is Potential Unleashed, and let's talk about why I think that God Valley will be the best flashback in One Piece. I will say that whenever it comes to flashbacks, not just in One Piece but in anime, I think a lot of people don't know exactly what makes a good flashback. A lot of people are going to say stuff along the lines of, oh, it's something that's emotional. And yeah, emotion, I think it is important, but it's not the end all be all. There's been a lot of series where we've had someone important die in a flashback, and yeah, that scene is emotional, but at the same time, it doesn't make it a good flashback. And wow, now that I'm saying that out loud, I realize how bad it sounds. What makes a flashback good is how the information, number one, affects the character involved and why they the way they are in the present, and number two, how does this relate or connect to the current story? Or you could say, what implications does the flashback have? Essentially, a good flashback gives context to why something is happening in a particular moment. So we've gotten a few sprinkles of the incident of God Valley throughout the story, but the main thing that I wanted to talk about comes from Sengoku's account in chapter 957. I'll also sprinkle in a little bit later Kaido's flashback in chapter 1049, and then also the thing we got recently in chapter 1095. The God Valley incident, it was a battle between the Rocks Pirates and a joint battle between Garp and Roger Pirates. It is important to note that the different members of the Rocks Pirates include Rocksteady Zebek, Whitebeard, Big Mom, Kaido, Shiki, Captain John, Silverax, Wang Z, Sissy, and potentially Shaki, which I'll address a little bit later in this video. Rox's goal was to become the king of the world, so he planned to attack the Celestial Dragons since at the time they were the ones who see themselves as the gods of the world. So Garp and Roger, they had to have a temporary alliance in order to take down Rox and also protect the different individuals that resided in God Valley. It has yet to be revealed why Garp and Roger had this alliance. If I had to guess, it was probably either Garp asked Roger because we know how close that they actually are, even though that they're constantly fighting each other, or it's because Zebek is Roger's biggest rival at the time and he didn't want him to become the king of the world. It's also important to note that during this incident, Garp, he became the hero of the Marines, even with his strength that he was on par with probably all the admirals and probably surpassed them as well. But he never went above the rank of vice admiral because that would mean if he was an admiral or anybody higher, he would have to be under the Celestial Dragons, and he didn't want to do that because of how much he knows about them and how dirty that they actually are. And in order for him to keep that title and not be executed for insubordination, the different people who recognized him as the hero, since he had that incident, that's why Garp is free to do whatever he wants. After this incident, Roger, his involvement was covered up. More likely than not, the world government, they did not want to include the fact that they got help for pirates, and you could say the same thing happened with Zebek because he was a member of the D clan, and all the other things that he ended up doing, they were covered up as well. We know that Emu, the Celestial Dragons, don't like anybody with the moniker of D in their name. I know personally, I cannot wait till we get to see that everything that Zebek was able to accomplish, and I know that for a fact he will be a fan favorite character. After the incident, Zebek, he was killed, and different members of the Rock Pirates, they separated and started their own crews, which I'll talk about again later in this video. God Valley, it was wiped off of different maps and it vanished without a trace. And does this remind you guys of anything? I'm talking about chapter 1060 when Emu nuked Lelouch. Now, it's not confirmed whether or not that this is true and that Emu actually wiped out of God Valley, but I do have my suspicions and it is a possibility. There's so many different important figures that are here I'ma need more context behind this. And what I mean is, I think it's a little bit too convenient that Xebec just so happened to show up at God Valley, that Roger and Garp so happened to have an alliance and go there as well. Was Rox just tracking the different locations of the triannual hunting competition, and how did he find out that it was going to happen at God Valley? Which also begs me to ask the question, why did Garp and Roger know that Xebec was going there? We know that the hunting competitions are random, and so the likelihood of God Valley being chosen, it's not zero, but at the same time, I really do find it too convenient and a little bit too fishy that all these individuals just so happen to come to this one place, unless it was all planned. Let me know your guys' thoughts about this in the comment section below. There are some new details that we learned about God Valley in Kaido's flashback. In chapter 1049, we find out that Rox was actually the one to recruit Kaido, and probably because of Kaido's young age and how strong and everything that he's done made a name for herself, Xebec probably wanted that strength. I also saw some people mention that Higurashi was probably at God Valley or some way affiliated with the Rox Pirates because of a panel that was mentioned in his flashback, and also we saw that she ended up changing into Shiki, and the only way she could do that if she met him during God Valley, or at least while she was a part of the Rox Pirates. So let me know how you guys feel about Higurashi potentially being a part of the Rox Pirates. We learned even more about God Valley in chapter 1095. The Celestial Dragons, they hold this hunting competition every 3 years, and God Valley was this year's place. This is because of the different abundance of natural resources that it had, and also that it had the title of God, and we know how the Celestial Dragons feel about that. Saint Figurlin Garling, he was the one to kill the king of God Valley, and then there was the scans. Originally they had Garling as the ruler of God Valley, but looking at this, that doesn't make sense. So I'm happy that the Viz official translation actually changed the statement, and they have it to where Garling was the one who was a dominant figure and distinguished himself at God Valley, which would make more sense, especially with the statement that Whitebeard talked about the scar and seeing Shanks and how his scars age. The hunting competition, it would consist of the different slaves that Celestial Dragons have, as well with the natives of God Valley. This is where we see Kuma, Ivankov, and Ginny. They are all slaves. It is unknown how they get their devil fruit powers, how they escape, how they meet up with Dragon, but if Dragon happened to show up at God Valley, that's probably how it happened, especially with everything that's going on. Chaos creates opportunity, and they very well could get their devil fruits from the treasure chest. Which leads me to talk about what could potentially be in those chests. We know that during any competition, and this has nothing to do with One Piece, but in life in general, there is typically a reward or a prize given to the people who win. What exactly are in those chests? It could potentially be devil fruits, as we've seen plenty of times throughout the series that devil fruits come in chests. We also know that the Celestial Dragons, they have a lot of devil fruits at their disposal. Hancock mentioned that the Celestial Dragons would force slaves to eat devil fruits as entertainment, and Doflamingo, a former Celestial Dragon, put up the Marinomi as a prize in this tournament. And I'm gonna pause right there because I plan on making a video about the Celestial Dragon, so you guys should definitely subscribe for that. We know that Big Mom stole Kaido's devil fruit during God Valley, and there are other devil fruits that could potentially be there. The Paw fruit, Gura Gura, the Horu Horu, the Float Float, maybe even Dragon's Fruit. Not to mention, those chests aren't even guaranteed to be devil fruits. It could be money, it could be children, for example Shanks. Could Garling have offered Shanks up as a prize? Was he that confident in his abilities to win him back, or was it that if he were to lose, that someone would get the bloodline of the famous Figurlin family and they would benefit from that? I mean, hey, we saw Shanks wager his arm on the new generation. I'd say that the Figurlin family definitely have a very bad gambling problem. We could also say, after seeing Doflamingo, his father, and his wife, that not all Celestial Dragons want to live that life, and maybe Figurlin's wife or Shanks' mother wanted Shanks to live a better life or something that wasn't at the hands of the dragons. We know that after God Valley that Shanks was found by Roger in a chest, and that it's been speculated that Shanks has been a part of the Figurlin family, especially now that we see a young Garlic and he looks exactly like Shanks. It's not guaranteed that it's his father, could be his uncle, some form of relative is what's being speculated, especially because Shanks was able to meet with the Gorosei, and we know that nobody, or at least lower level Marines, can't meet with them. Also, when you look at film Red, it was implied that because Uta is Shanks' daughter, that Shanks has ties, and she has ties to the figurine family as well. When I mentioned everybody that was, or some of them at least, were speculated, but for the most part, everybody that has been or was a part of the Rocks Pirates, how did all of these strong individuals lose? Well, for starters, the assumption that we were under was that it was just Roger and Garp and Roger's crew that were fighting, but that's not necessarily the case anymore now that we're seeing Garling, potentially the God Knights, the Slaves, Kuma, Von Koff, Dragon, and other individuals that we may not know about just yet. Another thing, the Rocks Pirates, they aren't who they were in the past, who they are now. And what I mean by that is Big Mom, Whitebeard, Kaido, and other individuals, they were not the monsters that we see in the current story. They were younger, not as experienced, didn't have devil fruits, probably did not have the level of hockey that they've displayed throughout the series. There's also a bunch of infighting in the crew as well. Everybody wanted to do their own king, which is why a lot of them have conquerors or have some important role in the series. An example of this is Shaki. She was the former pirate empress, and we know that she used to be a pirate. It's been speculated that she's been a part or was a part of the Rocks Pirates based off of the SBS in chapter 907. So yeah, even though that the Rocks Pirates are strong, there were other strong individuals that were at God Valley. And I may do a video about this, so that's why I'm going to put this in here quickly. I am really looking forward to whenever Shiki gets reintroduced to the story. And I'm talking about the Shiki from God Valley in Volume 0, not the stronger one that a lot of the One Piece community knows him for. Shiki was someone who had massive fleets and destroyed Marineford when fighting Garp and Sengoku. I want to know whenever he's going to be reintroduced and what his role will be for the story. Will he be a rival going after the One Piece? Will we see him in the final war? Will it be laughter? I cannot wait. During Jump Festa 2023, Oda talked about a free-for-all happening, and somehow I thought that he was talking about the different fights that we've seen from far with Egghead, with Elbaf, with Hachinosu, with Blackbeard and Law. Which, now thinking about it, okay, that was a bit of a read. What if Oda was actually talking about God Valley with Garp, with Roger, with the Rocks Pirates? There's Garling, the God Knight, Slaves, everybody involved, and many more. This would be a Royal Rumble pay-per-view match that I'd be willing to pay for. I cannot wait till we get more about the God Valley flashback, because we've only scratched the surface, and I'm really excited, and I truly believe this will be the best flashback in One Piece. But let me know how you guys feel about the God Valley flashback in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok is on the screen and in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.